ఇప్పుడు అది ఇది ఉంది కదా బేకరీ మాది లెఫ్ట్
పోలా ఫిష్ మామూలు ఇంకా ఫ్రాన్స్
ओके आदमी रोटी साग में चिकन
अच्छा अच्छा
चिकन साग
चिकन खाना अच्छा है मैं देखता हूँ फिर मैं आप खा ले और मैं
नाम का खा ले
हाँ
ये वही वो बैठ के खा ले जिससे हम गाँव को दे रहा हूँ
वो हाँ खा ले बोला आया था अलग वाह
Hi, Andy. Good afternoon. Online people, please confirm my voice is audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, sorry for late. Actually, I stopped in lift. Someone forgot to close the door. Okay. Okay. So in the morning session, we started discussing about set operators.
Yeah.
So we are having different set operators like union and union of. Other than this, we are having intersect, and we are having minus operator. So these are all the different set operators we are having in the database side. So when we are going for union, while performing merging operation or combining operation between two different tables vertically, if you want to get all the records, then we can use union operator. And union is not equal to union all. When we can give this statement, if there are duplicate records, and we can able to say union is equal to union all. When we can give this statement, if there are no duplicate records. Okay. Now in the same way, we'll try to understand the intersect operator. So we can use the same statement one more time. While performing merging operation or combining operation between two different tables vertically, if you want to get only the matched records, if you want to get only the matched records between both the tables, and if you want to get only the matched records between both the tables, then what we can do here? Here we are going to use the operator called as a intersect operator. So we'll see one example. With that, you can get a clear picture. So this is one table we are having. On morning, we created one more table called as employee underscore main underscore D10 table. Now tell me here, for example, if I am going to perform the merging operation between these two tables in the vertical direction, you tell me in between these two tables, what are the common records? I am asking what are the only common records?
One ID,
one or one complete row is a common record, and 1 or 2 complete row is a common record. And now when we are using the intersect operator, what is going to happen? In between both the tables, whatever the common records we are having, it will display only those common records on our output. But when all these things are going to happen, when we are going to use the intersect operator. If I'm using the union operator, what's happening? It is giving all the records between both the tables. But when we are going to use the intersect operator, whatever the common records we are having between both the tables, only those records will come on top of your output screen. And just we'll see the example. I'm giving select star from employee underscore main table. Then I'm giving intersect select star from employee underscore main underscore D10. So I'm giving the intersect operator, and here we are giving the first table as the employee main table, second table as the employee main D10 table. In between both the tables, only 2 records are common. So as per the requirement or as per the query, it should display only 2 records. We'll see here. What's happening? It is given the only common records only. So as per the requirement, in between 2 different tables, if you want to get the only the common records, then what we can do here? Here simply we are going to use the operator called as a intersect operator. Just I will put the query here also. Okay, now you tell me union and intersect both are same or both are different completely? Both are completely different. And what is the purpose of the union? To get all the records between both the tables, we are going for the union operator. What about the intersect? To get only the matched records between both the tables, we are going to use the intersect operator. In the same way, we are having one more operator called as a minus operator. Here also we can able to use the same statement and while performing merging operation between 2 different tables vertically, if you want to get only the unmatched records from the first table. What I'm telling here, if you want to get only the unmatched records from the first table, then we can use minus operator. So as per the requirement, you are going to perform merging operation between 2 different tables. But here, what is the requirement? I want to get only the unmatched records from the first table. In that situation, what we can do here? Simply we can able to use the minus operator. Now just we'll see the example again here. So this is the first table. Now this is the second table. Now you tell me, for example, if I'm going to frame the query like this, select star from employee underscore main table minus select star from employee underscore main underscore D10 table. So I'm given the query like this. Now you try to give the answer. In this query, what is the first table? What is the second table? Employee underscore main is the first table. Employee main underscore D10 table is the second table. So what I'm telling here, while performing merging operation between 2 different tables vertically, if you want to get only the unmatched records from the first table, okay? Now in this example, what is the first table? Employee main table, and this is the second table. Now you tell me, in between these 2 tables, what all are the unmatched records from the first table?
103,
103, 105,
105,
and 106. All these 4 are the unmatched records only. Now indirectly, if I'm going to execute this query, what need to happen? It need to display the unmatched records from the first table. It has to give these 4 records in your output screen. But for some reason, this query is given the error. So actually, minus is the one of the operator we are having in the database system only. But in MySQL or in my version of the software, whatever I'm having, it is given the error like this. From morning onwards, I'm trying this, but it is given the error. But even if it is given the error, don't assume that we don't have the minus operator. We are having the minus operator. You try to run the similar kind of query in your system. If it is working, well and good. If it is not working, try to understand the concept of the minus operator. What is the purpose of minus operator? While performing merging operation between 2 different tables, if you want to get all the unmatched records only from the first table, then what we can do here, we can able to use the operator called as a minus operator. Okay, in my system, this query is giving some error. I could not able to understand why it is given the error. I tried from morning onwards a day, but try to understand the concept here. Okay, now just I will change the query like this. Try to give the answer. Now try to give the answer. What is the output you are going to get by using this query? Understand the concept and to try to give the answer. If I'm going to run this query, for example, if this query will run, then what is the output you are going to get?
empty cell, empty
It will
table.
give the unmatched records from the first table. What is the first table here? employee main 10 table. In this table, we are having these two records only. Now these two records are going to compare with the second table. Now coming to 101, we are having the matcher record. Coming to 102, we are having the matcher record. In between, indirectly, in the first table, whatever the records we are having, for all these records, we are having the matcher records in the second table. Indirectly, if I'm going to run this query, how many records we are going to get? You will get the only 0 number of records only. But I think this query also will give the syntax error. But as per the concept, what will happen? If I'm going to run the second query, this query also will give output as a 0 number of records. This is the way simply we need to understand what is the purpose of the minus operator. And I can able to say minus operator will play very important role in real-time projects while performing any kind of validations, or I can able to say simply for testing. In the real time, we are going to have the testing team, and as a testing team, if they want to do any kind of validations, most of the times what they will do here, they are going to use the operator called as a minus operator. I will give an example. By using that example, you can able to understand how minus operator is going to play the very important role as part of our real-time projects. And just 1 second.
Sir, your voice is not audible.
Just I'm preparing the example. Just 1 minute. Okay. Now see, for example, if you remember, in the morning session, we discussed about this example. Here requirement is for each policy, I want to understand how much claim amount company paid to the customers, and for the purpose of achieving this requirement, we prepare the query like this. So this is the query we can able to write. So what is the query we have written? Morning, select PID comma sum of claim amount as total claim amount from the claims table. Then we are given the group by PID. So once we are going to run this query, what will happen? For each policy, how much claim amount company paid to the customers, that kind of information we can able to get by using this query. Okay. But here as a business team, what they're expecting, they want to get the data in the report format. If they want to get the data in the report format, what we have to do? Morning we discussed. We need to give directly this data to the business people, or what we are going to do? We will load this entire data into some other table, and this table we are giving to our reporting team. Reporting team will create the report. On top of the reports, my end user is going to perform the analysis. This is the process going to happen. And now tell me indirectly, in this whole example, what is the source table? What is the target table? We can able to say. In this whole example, what is the source table? Can we be able to say this is the source table? So this is my source table. Now what is the target table indirectly? Whatever the table here we are creating as a backup table, kind of backup table, this table we can able to call it as nothing but our target table. Now see, indirectly, you are having the source table, you are having the target table. Now as per the requirement, what we are doing, from the source table to target table, we are going to load the data. Now indirectly here, this is the data we are loading into our target table. This is my target table. Okay. Now, for example, you are the developer. As a developer, you loaded the data from this table to this table. How we are performing the loading operation here? By using the create table command, you are creating a separate table. By creating this table here, what I'm doing? By using this query, I am loading the data into my target table. Indirectly, this table is acting as a source table. On top of this table, we are applying the group by class. We are applying the sum class. With that, you are getting some kind of output. That output we are loading into the target table. Okay. This is the activity as a developer you are performing. Now, for example, testing team came into the picture. Now you try to give the answer. As a testing team, what they need to do here? For example, testing team is going to perform the testing in your project. As a testing team, what activity they need to perform? They need to validate in this target table whether all the records are loaded properly or not. And what testing team will do here? As per the requirement, into the target table, whether all the records are loaded properly or not. Who is going to perform such kind of validation? Our testing team will perform that kind of validation. For example, here I am having the data like this 3 lakhs. And here also I'm having data as a 3 lakhs. By mistake or intentionally, for example, here my development team loading this data as a 1 lakh. Just assume it only. So here coming to 105, what is happening? My development team loading this value as a 1 lakh. Actually, what is the expected value? Here expected value is 2 lakhs. But by mistake, my development team loaded this value as a 1 lakh. Now tell me indirectly here, this record we can able to call it as a, this whole row or this record we can able to call it as a invalid record. Now who need to find out this kind of invalid records in the real time? As part of testing,
Yes, sir.
your testing team has to find out this kind of issues. And now my question is, for example, just for half an hour or 15 minutes, you think you are the tester, you want to perform the validations here by depending on the requirement. You are having the source table, you are having the target table, you know the requirement. Now you try to give the answer as a tester, how you can able to perform the validations in this example. I know you are not going to work as a tester, you are going to work as a developer only, but just assume for a few minutes only, you are the testing team. You want to perform the validation between the source table and target table. By applying the requirement, I want to perform the validation. Now as a tester, if you want to perform the validations, first question, what you are going to validate? Second question, how you are going to validate?
First, I needed to check source side records are same for the target side records. I will be matching or not. First, as a tester, I needed to find out.
Yeah. So see here, first we need to understand the requirement and as per the requirement, whether data is loading from the source table to target table properly, that we need to validate. Now in the target table already loaded the data. Who loaded the data? Our development team loaded the data. Now I want to verify from the source table to target table whether data is matching or not. But if you see here in the source table, you are having the detailed data or summarized data. I am having the detailed data. In the target table, I am having the detailed data, summarized data.
Summarized data.
I am having the summarized data. Now you tell me, can we able to compare data between detailed data versus summarized data? Is it possible? No, right? That's the reason. First, what we need to do now as a tester, I need to write the query on the source table. By using this table, what I have to do? I need to convert this entire whole detailed data into the summarized format on the source table, and which is nothing but here I'm going to write the query like this. As a tester, I will write the query simply select PID comma sum of claim amount as total claim amount from claims table. I'm giving group by policy ID. So this is the query I'm writing. Now you tell me if I'm going to run this query on the source table, what will happen? This query will give output as a, this is the output. So what I'm doing here as a tester, I am writing the query on top of the source table by applying the requirement. What is the requirement? For each and every policy, I want to understand how much claim amount company paid, and for that reason, here I am going to write the query like this. But if I am going to write the query like this, what will happen? I am going to get the output like this. But your requirement is as a tester, you want to get the output or you want to compare this output with the target table. I want to compare this source query output with my target table. Now coming to target table, if you want to fetch the data, what is the query we can able to write? From the target table, select PID comma total claim amount. From which table? From the target table. What is the target table here we are using?
Claim amount and
summary underscore summary table, which is nothing but indirectly as a ETL tester, he need to prepare the source query on the source table. He need to prepare target query on the target table. Now as a ETL tester, in which query he need to apply the requirement? In the source query or target query? on the source query, he need to apply the requirement, and because in the source table we are pulling the data. On top of this data, we need to apply the requirement as a tester. What is the requirement? For every policy, I want to get the total claim amount. That's the reason I am writing the source query like this. And coming to target query, just I'm giving select PID comma total claim amount from the table. This is the query I'm writing. Now, if I'm going to run the only first query, what will happen? It will give this output. If I'm going to run the only second query, what will happen? It will give the output like this. But tell me here, you want to get the outputs or you want to compare both the outputs? I want to compare both the outputs, Andy. Now tell me how we can able to perform the comparison operation here.
Minus.
Simply what we can do here is, here we are going to apply the operator called as a minus operator. What minus operator will do? It is going to compare data between source table and target table. Whatever the unmatched records we are having in the first table, only those records will be coming in the output, Andy. Now you tell me, if I am going to run this query, what is the output you are going to get? This is the source table, this is the target table. In between both the tables, from the first table, it will give the unmatched record. Coming to 1013 lakhs is a matched record. 1023 lakhs, matched record. But coming to 105, is it a matched record or unmatched record? It's an unmatched record, which is nothing but this query will give this output on top of your output, which is nothing but in between the source and target, data is matching or not matching. Data is not matching. What it means indirectly? As a developer, they haven't loaded the proper data. How we are doing this validation as a tester? By using the minus operator, we are doing this entire validation. Now, as part of using the minus operator, this query giving one record in my output, which is nothing but what? 101 is matching. 102 is matching, but 105 is not matching. That's the reason this record is coming into my output screen. Now, what I can able to say simply as a tester, I will raise a defect saying that data not loaded properly into target table. So as a tester, I will do this kind of validation by using the minus operator. After doing this validation, if this query giving one record, what it means, this is the unmatched record from the source table to target table, which is nothing but data not matching between the source to target by depending on the requirement. For that reason, what I will do is here simply, I will raise it as a defect saying that data not loaded properly into my target table. Now, for example, as a developer, I loaded the proper data into my target table. Now tell me, if I'm going to run the same query, what would be the output?
0 records will be
It
displayed.
will give output as a simply 0 records. Indirectly, if you want to pass your test case or if you want to ensure that data loaded properly or not, this kind of query should give how many records, Andy? This query should give output as a 0 records. If this query given the 0 records, then we can able to say, okay, data is matching between the source and target. With that, we can able to give the confirmation development team loaded the data properly into my target table. But who is going to perform all these kind of validations here? As a tester, by using the minus operator, they are going to perform the validations between the source table and target table. As a developer, what is your responsibility? We are loading the data into our target table. And so this is the source table. As a developer, by applying the requirement, you are loading the data into the target table or you are creating the target table by depending on the requirement. But as a tester, what is his responsibility? He need to compare the data between the source table and target table by depending on the requirement. Now tell me, as a developer, as a tester, both the people are depending on what? Both the people are depending on the requirement, and as a developer, by applying the requirement, we are loading the data into the target table. As a tester, by depending on the requirement only, they are doing the comparison between the source table and target table. Indirectly, as a developer, as a tester, both the people are depending on the requirement. By depending on the requirement, development team will load the data. By depending on the requirement, development team is going to perform the validations by using the minus operator. As part of using the minus operator, here they are going to write the query like this. They are building source query minus, they are writing target query. So what they are doing here, they are writing the query called as a source query minus target query. And this query should give how many records? This query should give 0 records. Once it is given the 0 records, based on that, we can able to say data is matching between source and target. Okay. Now, if anyone having any kind of confusion on this example, Andy, we'll take a simple example. By using the simple example, we'll try to understand. Okay. Now, for example, see here my requirement is create a target table for only department ID 20 employees. We'll take a simple example. If you are having any confusion on the above example, we'll take a simple example. With this simple example, try to understand here and what is the requirement? Create a target table for only department ID 20 employees. That is my requirement. Now you tell me here, if you want to create the target table, what is the query we need to prepare as a developer?
Select
Create table. I'm given the table name is, for example, EMP underscore D20 because I want to load data for only 20 employees. So for that reason, I'm giving create table name like this as select star from employee table. What next? Where department ID is equal to 20. Now, if I'm going to run this query, what will happen? This query will create a table called as a EMP underscore 20 table. In this table, it will copy this entire structure and also it will copy data for only these two records into your target table. And now you try to give the answer in this example. What is the source table? What is the target table as per the requirement?
Yeah, employee is the source table.
What is the source table? Employee. And what is the target table?
Employee underscore
EMP
20.
underscore 20 table. Now tell me, who is creating this EMP 20 table? Who is loading the data into this EMP underscore 20 table? As a developer, you are creating this table and you are loading the data into this table by using the query called as a create table name as select star from the table where DID is equal to 20. As a developer, your role is completed. Now testing team came into the picture. Now as a tester, he want to do the validations and now in between what to what he want to do the validation? In between source table and target table, he want to perform the validation. What is the meaning of validation?
Compare the tables.
He want to ensure that in the target table, really development team loaded the data for only 20 records or not, or whether they loaded any extra records into my target table. That is the validation as a tester they need to perform. Now to do that validation, how they can do the validations? From the source table, first he need to populate the data for only 20 employees. From the source table, first he need to populate data for 20 employees, and this data he need to compare with what?
With
This data he need to compare with the target table data. This is my target table data. Now tell me, from the source table, if you want to get this kind of output, what is the query we need to prepare? From the source table, I want to get this kind of output. So what is the query we need to prepare? Select star from employee table where department ID is equal to 20. Why we are given the department ID is equal to 20 as a tester? Because on top of the source table, as a tester, he need to apply the requirement. That's the reason he is giving employee table where department ID is equal to 20. Now, if I am going to run this query, what will happen? It will give this output. But you want to get the output or you want to compare the output? I want to compare this output with my target table. Now, from the target table, how we can able to get the output?
minus
Select star from EMP underscore D20. So if I'm going to run this query, target query, then what will happen? It is given the output like this, and this is the output you are going to get. First query will give the output from the source table. Second query will give the output from the target table. But you want to get the outputs or you want to compare the data? I want to compare. For that reason, in between both the queries, what we can do?
minus.
Simply we can apply the operator called as a minus operator. Now, what is the purpose of minus operator? In between source query and target query, it will perform the comparison. From the first query, whatever the unmatched records we are having, those unmatched records will be coming on top of your output screen. Now, in this example, here we are having the 3, 4. Here also we are having 3, 4. Do we have any unmatched records? No. For that reason, what will happen? This will give output as a zero number of records. But who is going to perform all these validations? And your testing team is going to perform the validations like this. And if they are finding any kind of issues, what will happen? They will raise it as a defect, and we need to understand why they are calling it as a defect, and we need to fix the defect as part of our real-time project. That's the reason just we are discussing about the operator called as a minus operator. Still, if anyone having the questions on top of this minus operator, please ask me. Or on top of this entire example, as a tester, how they are going to use the minus operator. That is the one more important thing we need to understand, because as a tester, whenever they are raising the defect, who need to fix the defect? As a developer, it is your responsibility to fix the defect. If you want to fix the defect, first we need to understand why they are calling it as a defect. And if you want to understand why they are calling it as a defect, we need to understand their query. In their query, what they are using the minus operator. That's the reason you need to have knowledge about the minus operator also. For that reason, we are spending this much of time on top of the minus operator. Okay. Any questions? Please ask me here.
Sir, minus and except both are same, right?
No, both are different.
Both are different.
Yes.
But it gives a same value,
Same
right?
output, but both are giving some kind of different functionality. We'll discuss about that. What is the difference between minus and except? We'll discuss. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now see, for example, here what I'm doing, I am giving it as a source query minus target query. Okay. Now my question is like this. For example, see, if source query and target query giving output as 0 records. Now with this, can we confirm data loaded properly to target table? This is the question. We are running the source query minus target query. That query given the output as a total 0 number of records. And now, once this query given the output as a 0 records, can be able to confirm data loaded properly into my target table?
Yeah. So
Yes.
both are matching. That's
No.
Someone is saying yes, someone is saying no. If yes, that is fine. If no, what is the reason? See, for example, this is my source table output. Okay. And this is my target table data. Okay. Now just assume that in the target table, by mistake, my development team, instead of other than the 20 records only, he loaded the data for 10 records also. Just assume that. In the target table, how many records we are having? They loaded the data for 20 records, and also they loaded the data for the department ID 10 records also, which is nothing but in the target table, my development team loaded the total 4 number of records. Now you try to give the answer. If I am going to run the same query here, for example, this is my target table now, emp underscore do table. Now tell me, if I'm going to run this query, what is the output you are going to get? This is my target table. Now, if I'm going to run this query, what is the output we are going to get? We are going to get the 0 records, or we are going to get any extra records?
0 records.
You are going to get the 0 number of records only, because with the source query, what is the output you are getting? This is the output. With the target query, for example, my development team loaded the 4 records. So what will happen? You are going to get the 4 records. You are comparing source table output with the target table output. And now, as part of using the minus operator, what is happening?
Yeah, it will
It
be
is
0
giving
records.
unmatched
first
records
table
from
only.
the first table only.
First table
In
only.
the first table, we are having the 3, 4. In the second query also, we are having the 3, 4. Everything is matching. That's the reason it is giving output as a 0 records only. But tell me, even if it is given the 0 records, in the target table, do we have any extra records or not?
Yes.
We are
Yes.
having the
Yes.
extra records, but this query given the output as a 0 record. Now, can we able to confirm everything is looking fine in the target table? No, right? Now, how to handle this kind of situation? See here, in the real-time process only, they are going to perform the source minus target. At the same time,
So
they need
target
to perform
minus
target
minus
minus source
source.
also. So they need to perform source minus target, and also they need to perform the target minus source. And now in this example, this is my target, this is my source. Now, if I'm going to perform the target minus source, now you try to give the answer. How many records this query will throw in the output?
1,
Now
2.
this query will give output as a 2 records into your output screen. But what is our expectation? If you want to pass the test case, what is the expectation? This query also should give output as a 0 records only. But in this example, this query is giving the output as a 2 records. For that reason, we can able to say in the target table, data not loaded properly. Now, indirectly, you try to give the answer. As a tester, if they are going to use the minus operator, compulsory what they have to do? They need to perform source minus target,
Target to minus.
and also they need to perform target minus source. Okay, and this query should give how many records?
0
This query should
records.
give output as a 0 records. What about target minus source?
Two
This
records.
also should give you the
Should
output
zero.
as a 0 records. If source minus target and target minus source both are given the 0 records only, then only testing team can confirm data
Will be
loaded
successfully
properly between source and target. Okay, again I'm repeating, all these operations as a tester they are going to perform in the real time, but as a developer you should have some basic knowledge about all these kind of things. And now tell me, as a developer, are we going to perform any kind of testing or not? As a developer, are we going to perform any kind of testing in the real time? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Answer is yes, but that testing what we can able to call?
Unit
We can able to call it as a unit testing. Now tell me, you are working in the data warehousing projects, or you are working in the data engineering projects, or you are doing all this kind of operation. Now as a developer, you want to perform the validations on your data. How you can able to perform the validations? As a developer, you want to perform the validations. How we can able to perform the validations? See here, as a developer also, what we can do if you want, we can use the same minus operator, but in the real time, mostly testing team is going to use the minus operator only. But as a developer, if you are going to work in the real time, compulsory what we have to do, we need to perform the unit testing, which is nothing but you need to perform some minimal testing before handovering it to the testing team. And before handovering it to the testing team, if you are going to run the source minus target, if you are going to run the target minus source, if it is giving any kind of records, what we can do here, we ourselves can able to find out the issues as part of our real time. That's the reason, one more reason I'm saying that better to understand about the minus operator. If you understand the minus operator in the real time as a developer, as part of unit testing, by using minus operator, what we can do here, we can find any kind of issues in real time projects. Okay, now see, for example, if testing team doing all the validations and they found, for example, 100 defects on your data. Tell me, is it a good sign? Which is nothing but you are doing the completely wrong development, and that's the reason before handovering all the code to the testing team, better you need to perform the validations from your side. That kind of validations or that kind of testing only we are calling it as a unit testing. But how we can able to perform the unit testing? If you know about the minus operator, as a developer, you also can able to use the minus operator. There is no restriction. Only testing team has to use the minus operator. As a developer, if you know about all these kind of concepts, what we can do here by using the minus operator, you are going to prepare the source minus target query, and you are going to prepare the target minus source query, and both the queries should have to give output as a 0 number of records. As a developer, you yourself can able to perform all the validation. Now, for example, instead of getting the 0 records, it is given the 2 records. What it means? In the target table, data not loaded properly. Before handovering it to the testing team, you yourself can able to fix all the kind of issues. And with that, what will happen? For example, testing team finding only 0 defects. What it means indirectly? As a developer, you are doing your job very perfectly, and with that, you can able to prove that you are the good developer in your team. To prove all these kind of things, what we have to do compulsory, you need to perform the proper unit testing. But in the data engineering projects, how we can able to perform the proper unit testing? If you know about the minus operator, then only we can able to perform the proper unit testing as part of our real time. That's the reason we are spending this much of time on top of our minus operator. Okay. Now, overall, what is the purpose of minus operator? That's the main topic, right? What is the purpose of minus operator?
Get the unmatched records from the first table.
It is comparing data between the source table output and target table output. But what is the output it is giving?
It will
unmatched records from the first table it is giving, which is nothing but unmatched records from the source table output. If all are matching, it is given the 0 records. If anything is not matching from the first query output, those unmatched records will be coming on top of your output. This is the way we need to understand about union operator, intersect, and minus operator. Now, finally, what is the purpose of union operator? In the simple words, union to get
all the records.
All the records.
What about intersect?
Match records from the both tables.
To get match records. What about minus?
Unmatched records from the first table.
Unmatched records from only first table.
First table.
So in the simple words, if you want to understand, I can able to say like this. Say like this: union to get all the records from the both the tables, intersect to get only the matched records from the source table, minus to get the unmatched records from the first table. This is the way simply we can able to understand union, intersect, and minus. Okay. Up to here, any questions or confusions, please ask me. No questions? If no questions, I will ask the question, try to give the answer. I am having a student table like this. I am having student ID column, student name column, marks 1, marks 2, and marks 3. So this is the way I'm having the some columns in the table ID, and I'm having the student ID and like this. Names are, for example, XX and YY, and marks are 60, 70, and 80. Here, for example, second student 70, 80, and 90. Now, this is the way, for example, we are having the data in the table. Okay. Now, my requirement is, this is the table data we are having in the database system. I want to get the output like this. I want to get output as student ID, student name, marks. What I want to get? I want to get student ID, student name, and marks ID. Coming here, I want to get the values as 101XX. Here, I want to get value as a 60. Again, 101XX, want to get value as a 70. Again, 101XX, third subject, I want to get value as a 80. So which is nothing but coming to 101XX and how many subjects we are having? For example, 3 subjects. I want to get the subject 1 marks, subject 2 marks, and subject 3 marks. In the same way, coming to second student, I want to repeat 3 times. I want to get values are like this: 70, 80, 90. So old batch students, if you know the answer, please keep quiet. New batch people, if you want to give the answer, please try to give the answer. So this is the student table I'm having. Now from this table, I want to get the output records like this. To get this kind of output, what we need to do? Here indirect, I will give the requirement like this only. Requirement is convert horizontal data into vertical format on this table. What is the operation we are doing in this example? Here we are having data horizontally. I want to convert this horizontal data into the vertical format. That is my requirement. Now to achieve this requirement, what is the query we can able to frame? Try to give the answer. Don't think about the query directly. First understand the requirement. Understand how we are getting the output. Then think about how we need to frame the SQL query. Apply the analytical skills. Now, see, for example, what you want to get? Student ID and student name ID. Now, do we have these 2 columns in this table or not? Student ID column is there. Student name column also there, which is nothing but both the columns are present in my source table, and which is nothing but, for example, here I want to get these 2 columns. Okay, but coming to third column, what is the third column we are having? Marks is the third column. But tell me, do we have this marks column in this table? No. But how we can able to get this column? By giving some kind of aliasing, we can able to get this column, and which is nothing but here, if you want, we can able to get the marks column also by applying the aliasing concept. Now see, for example, I want to get the data for these 2 records, 101, 102, XX, YY. Then I will fetch these 2 records also, 60 and 70. Okay. Now this is for M1 or M2? This is for M1. Now what I will do here is, from the same table, I will fetch these 2 records again. I will fetch M2. And from the same table, I will fetch the third time output. In this output, I will fetch the values as a M3. Indirectly, what I'm doing here, first time I am fetching the student ID, student name M1. Second time, student ID, student name M2. Third time, student ID, student name M3, and which is nothing but we are going to get the 3 different outputs. After that, once we are going to get the output like this, if we are going to perform the merging operation between all these outputs, and what will happen? If I am going to perform merging operation between all these tables vertically, what will happen? You are going to get this kind of output. But tell me how we can able to get the first output like this. Select student ID, comma, student name, comma, M1 from which table? From the student table.
Sure.
Now, for example, if I am going to run the only first query, what will happen? Only this query. If I'm running only this query, how many records we are going to get?
One.
Select student ID, comma, student name, comma, M1 from the student table. If I am going to run this query, how many records we are going to get?
2
We are
records.
going to get only
Two
two records.
records.
Which two records? Only these three, because in the select statement I given the STID, STD name and M1. For that reason, you are going to get only this output on top of your output screen. Now I want to get the second output. Then what is the query we need to frame? I want to get the second output. Then what we need to do? Same query, select student
Instead of
ID,
M1, M2.
student name,
Name M2 from student.
M2 from student
Table.
table. Now tell me, if I am going to run the only second query, then what will happen? It is giving student ID, student name and M2 value, because in the select statement you are given the M2 column. For that reason, it will give only these two records on top of your output. What about third one? What about third one? If you want to get the third kind of output, we need to give the same query again. Select STD ID, comma, STD name, comma, M3 from student table. Now, if I'm going to run the only third query, what will happen? It is going to give the output like this, Sunday. But tell me, you want to get the individual outputs or you want to get the combined output?
Combined output.
As per the requirement, I want to get the combined output. And as part of getting the combined output, you want to get all the records or you want to skip any one of the record?
All the
I
records.
want to
the
get all
records.
the records. Now you tell me how we can able to
Union
perform the
of-
combining
Union.
operation vertically. First question.
Union.
I want to perform the combining operation between all these outputs vertically. Which operators we need to use? Set
Union.
operator, we have to use it only. Now, within the set operator, which operator we need to use? You want to get all the records or you want to get only some of the records? I want to
the
get
records.
all the records. So what we have to do? We need to go for the union operator. Here, just I'm giving union, and here also just I'm giving union. Indirectly, in between all the three queries, we are going to apply the union operator. Once I'm going to apply the union operator, what is going to happen? If you are going to run the individual queries, we are getting the output 1, output 2, and output 3. But if I'm going to apply the union operator between all the queries, automatically what will happen? You are going to get output as a, this is the values, first query output, second query output, and third query output. So this is the way it will combine all the records outputs into the output screen. With that, finally what will happen? You are going to get all these records on top of your output screen. But tell me, is it the complete query?
No.
Tell me here, if I am going to run this query in the output screen, what column names it will display? Understand the requirement. Question.
M1.
If I am going to run this complete query in the output screen, what column names it will display? STD ID, STD name. Third column is M1 or M2 or M3.
Marks.
What is the third? In my query, did I given any marks here?
No.
No, right? If I am running the same query as it is in the output, what is the third column you are going to get?
M1.
M1 or M2 or M3?
M3.
M1.
Here, this query will give output as a M1 column only, because at any point of time, whenever we are using the set operators, in the first query, whatever the column names we are having, those column names only will be coming into your output screen. In the first query, what columns we are having? STD ID, STD name, and M1. That's the reason what's happening. It is given the column name as a M1 only. But what is my requirement?
Marks.
I
M1
want to
as
get
Marks.
output column name as a marks. How to convert this M1 to marks?
Alias.
We need to apply
Marks.
aliasing. In which query we need to apply the aliasing? All the queries are only in the first query.
First query.
First query.
First query.
First query is giving as
As
marks.
marks.
Okay. If you want, what we can do in the second query also we can apply the aliasing. In the third query also we can apply the aliasing. And for example, if you are not applying the aliasing in the second query or third query, if you are applying the aliasing on the only first query, even though what will happen, that query will execute and it is taking the column names from the first query only. That's the reason this query will give output as a STD ID, STD name, and marks.
Marks.
This is the way we need to understand how we need to frame the query. Now you tell me, is it a simple query or complex query?
Simple query.
You know union operator, you know the select statement, you know the from statement, everyone you know, everything you know only. But why you have given the answer? Only thing is nothing but just we need to apply the analytical skills only. How we can able to get the analytical skills? By doing the practice. By seeing the multiple examples or multiple things, and what will happen? You can able to get the analytical skills. By using the analytical skills, you can able to frame any kind of SQL queries as part of our real-time projects. Okay. Any question on top of this query, please ask me here. Yeah, good question, Andy. So somebody is saying that as per my requirement, what I need to do here, I need to get all the 101s then I need to get all the 102s and but coming to here in this output, what is happening? 101, 102, 101, 102, and 101, 102. Now tell me how I can able to get this entire data in the sorted order. We need to apply order by clause. But tell me where we need to apply the order by clause. In the first query or in the second query or in the third query?
First table.
Last.
Yeah. We need to apply order by clause on the last query. On which column we need to apply the order by clause?
Student
We need to
ID.
apply order by clause on the student ID because as per my requirement, I want to get all the 101 first. Then I want to get all the 102s and for that reason, what we are doing here, we are applying the order by clause on top of our last query. Now tell me, by seeing this query, for example, we are applying the order by clause on the last query only, or we are applying the order by clause on the complete query.
On the complete query.
This is the one more confusion people are going to get it, Andy. If you are going to see the query, what is happening? We are thinking that order by clause is applicable for only the last query, but don't think like that, Andy. Once we are going to apply the order by clause, what is happening here? This order by clause is applicable for the complete SQL query. First, what will happen? It will execute above complete query. We are getting output as a 101, 102, 101, 102, and 101, 102. After that, on top of this entire result, it will apply the order by clause. With that, what will happen finally? You are going to get the output values like this, Andy. All these are the things we need to understand by using the single SQL statement. Okay. Still, if you are having any questions, please ask me.
Sir, we can do another thing. We will add as another select star count and bracket before the.
Can you please repeat it? I didn't get that.
We will do select star count and we will copy
Star from
total G3 union everything in a bracket.
no, that is called as a subquery, right? So, but so far, have we discussed anything about the subqueries?
No.
No, Andy. So that's the reason I don't want to discuss about the topic now. Other people will get the confusion. Okay. Any question on this query, please ask me. Tell me, someone is asked the question. So can we use the union all here, Andy? You tell me, really, do we have any requirement to apply the union all?
No.
For example, I'm getting these three outputs by using the three different queries, Andy. Now in these outputs, do we have any duplicate records? 10160, there is no duplicate record. 10270, there is no duplicate record. There is no duplicate record. For that reason, no need to worry. But if you want to get all the records without having any kind of issues, you can use the union all also, no issues, Andy.
Or maybe the marks will be matching.
So that's the thing. Sometimes, for example, if marks are same, what will happen? It will remove the duplicate records while applying the union operator. If you want to overcome such kind of issues, if you want what we can do here, you can apply the union all also without having any kind of issues. Is it clear? Okay. Any other questions? What combination? Yeah, you can use if you want. For example, so someone is asking a question, Andy. In the query, can be able to apply the combination of both? Tell me this query will execute or not? This query will execute, but how this query is going to execute? Try to give the answer. In the same query, I'm applying the union and union all. Now, other people try to give the answer. How this query will execute? In which order it is going to execute? First step, it is going to perform the union between these two queries, and whatever the output we are getting, on top of that output, with this third query, it is going to apply the union all. With that, this query will give execute and it will give the output into your output screen. Is it clear?
Will give output same.
It will give the same output because here we don't have any duplicate records. For that reason, this query will give the same output. Okay. And just I want to say here again, this is the one of the interview question, Andy. Okay. So whenever I'm saying the interview question, don't by heart the queries, and try to understand how we are implementing the queries, because if you are going to by heart the queries, what will happen? You cannot able to remember. Okay, that's the reason. Please try to understand the requirement. Try to understand how we are achieving the requirement. With that, automatically, what will happen? You can able to frame it any kind of queries as part of your interview process. Okay. Now, just I want to tell one last thing as part of set operators, Andy. We need to follow some rules. Rules for set operators. Tell me, based on your understanding, what are the rules we need to follow by seeing all these examples, whatever we discussed so far?
Two tables must contain same
in between
like
all the tables or queries, we have to maintain same number of columns. This is one important rule we have to follow whenever we are using any set operator, and either union or intersect or minus operator, whatever the set operator we are going to use. So what we have to do here, in between all the tables or queries, we have to maintain the same number of columns. Okay. And second thing, in between all the tables or queries, we have to maintain compatible data types.
Yeah.
What is meant by compatible data types? For example, in the source query, first column is integer. In the second query, first column is, for example, decimal. Now tell me, both are compatible, both are incompatible. Both are compatible, and because integer and decimal both are falling into the number category only, that's the reason here it won't give any kind of syntax error. For example, here I am using in the second query, first column is string column or varchar. Now what will happen? This query will give the syntax error because in the first query, first column is the integer column. In the second query, first column is a varchar. Indirectly, you want to combine the data between the integer column to the varchar column only. So automatically what will happen? That query will throw the syntax error. That's the reason here I'm mentioning that in between all the tables or queries, we have to maintain the compatible data types. Okay. Third thing is very, very important. Please remember this. While using set operators, we need to apply order by clause only at the end of the query. Please remember the statement and what I'm telling here. While using the set operators, where we need to apply the order by clause, only at the end of the query only we have to apply the order by clause. In between the query, if you are going to apply the order by clause, so what will happen? That query will throw the syntax error. So for example, we'll see one example only. I am going to give the query like this. Select start from our table name is employee underscore main table, where department ID is equal to 10. I'm giving order by department ID. Then I'm giving union. Select start from. Okay, now tell me, in this query, we are given the order by clause only at the end of the query, or in between the query also we are applying the order by clause? In between the query also we are applying the order by clause only. So this is one query I will write, I will run, and same query I'm taking here one more time. I am removing the order by clause. Now tell me, in this query where we are applying the order by clause? At the end of the query we are applying the order by clause. Now we'll try to run both the queries only. First we'll run this query, proper query. Okay, what's happening? This query is running. It is taking the 10 records and 20 records and 30 records. It is performing the merging operation. Based on that, you are getting the data. We are given the order by department ID, which is nothing but your data is sorting based on the department ID column. Okay. Now, for example, I am going to run this query. See what's happening? You are getting output as a syntax error. What is the reason? Because we are applying the order by clause in between the query. So actually, while typing also, what I have done? I copied the same query. Only thing is nothing but I removed the order by clause in the first query. I removed the order by clause in the second query. I given the order by clause for the third query or complete query. This order by clause is applicable for this third query, or it is applicable for the complete query?
Complete
It is applicable for the complete query only. Now, in this query, what I'm doing, I'm given the order by clause in between the query also while using the set operator. In between the query, I'm applying the order by clause. But if you are going to apply the order by clause in between the query, what will happen? That query will throw the syntax error. Same thing is happening here and above query is ran without having any kind of issues. Second query is running by throwing the syntax error. This is the one more important rule you have to remember. While using the set operators, we need to apply the order by clause only at the end of the query. Otherwise, what will happen? Simply that query will throw the syntax error. Okay. Now tell me, in the interview, if they're asking this question, if you are giving this answer correctly by including the order by clause with the help of the single query, what interviewer can able to understand? In the interviewer giving this requirement to you, you return the complete query, and as per the requirement, I want to get the sorted data. To get the sorted data, instead of giving the order by clause for each and every query, you are given the order by clause at the end of the query. If you are going to give the proper answer for this question, what interviewer can able to understand? He can understand you are having very good knowledge on the set operator. You know about all the rules of the set operator, and you know you are having the analytical skills to achieve the requirement. With a single question, he can able to understand all this kind of information. And so that's the way, as part of interviews, if you want to give the proper answers, compulsory we need to understand all this kind of basic information. Otherwise, what will happen? You are going to write the query, for example, like this. If I'm going to write the query, this query will give any kind of output. No, this query will throw the syntax error because we are applying the order by clause in between the query. But while using the set operator, you should not use the order by clause in between the query. Where we have to apply? we have to apply order by clause only at the end of the query. And all these are the rules we need to understand as part of using our set operators. Okay. Still, if you are having any questions, please ask me. See, for every topic, what is happening at the beginning, you are thinking it's a very simple topic, and might be when we are starting discussing about set operator, people are thinking why we are discussing union, intersect, minus. I know everything, but at the end of the topic, what will happen? You are feeling that it's a kind of a very complex topic, but it's not a complex thing. And we are trying to understand each and every minute thing as part of discussing about all the topics. Based on that, you can able to understand everything properly. With that, you can able to frame the queries properly as part of practice or as part of interviews or as part of real time. Also, you can able to write the proper queries by depending on our requirements. Okay. Any questions still if you're having, please ask me. Union, intersect, minus, and rules of the set operators. Is it clear? Okay. If it is clear, I will give one more requirement, try to give the answer. Now see, for example, this is the table I'm having. I am given the query like this. Select one as EAD from employee table. Try to give the answer. If I'm going to run this query, what will happen? I am only giving the query to you. If I am going to run this query, what is the output we are going to get? First question, what is the column name we are going to get? EAD column. Okay, what would be the output?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, any other answers?
Same. All 1, 1, 1s.
1, 1, 1,
Number
1.
of records.
Okay, any other answers?
Yeah.
Someone is saying only 1. Okay, any other answers? If I'm going to run this query, what would be the output? We'll run the query and we'll check it once only, then you can get a clear picture. Select one as EAD from employee underscore main. What's happening? What's the correct answer? I can say this is the correct answer. Indirectly here, you are given the EAD from employee table. Tell me in the employee table how many records we are having total? 5 records. But in the first column, what I'm giving? I am given the hard code value. One is a kind of a hard code value I'm giving. But for this one, what is the column name I'm giving as an aliasing name? I am given the EAD as an aliasing name. But for this EAD column, you are getting the data from the table or you are given the hard code value. I am giving the hard code value by depending on my requirement. That's the reason what is going to happen. It is giving all values as 1. But why it is given the 1 value 5 number of times? Because in my employee table, I am having total 5 records only. That's the reason same value is going to repeat 5 number of times on top of your output. This is the one more query we need to understand. Whenever you want to populate any kind of hard code values, we can populate. But what we have to do simply, we need to give that hard code value, alias name, some other value we have to give. With that, you can able to populate the hard code values only. For example, I will let one more query, try to give the answer. Select one as EAD, comma, XX in single quotes I'm giving as ename from employee table. Now tell me what will happen for this query. Why we are giving access in the single quote? I am giving the hard code value, but that is just string value only. For that reason, I am giving that value within the single quote. Now tell me if I'm going to run this query. First question, how many columns you are going to get? 2 columns, EAD column and ename column. How many records we are going to get?
5 records.
See that? What's happening? We are getting all the, actually in this table we are having 6 records only. You are getting the 6 records, but in the EAD column, what is happening? We are getting all ones. In the ename column, what's happening? We are getting all X. Indirectly here. So this is the output we are going to get on top of your output. So here, why I given this example is to populate any kind of hard code values as per the requirement. We can frame query as below. So by using this query, what we can do here, by depending on your requirement, you can able to populate any kind of hard code values by depending on our requirement only. Now, just I want to give the one more example, try to give the answer. Now this is the data we are having in the table. Now my requirement is I want to get EAD column and I want to get DNAME column. So see here, try to understand the requirement first. And the requirement is I want to get the output for two columns. One is the EAD column and one is the DNAME column. Now for DNAME column requirement is if DAD is equal to 10, then get output as XX. And if DAD is equal to 20, then get output as YY. And if DAD is equal to 30, then get output as ZZ. So this is the way I want to get the data on top of my output screen. And so try to understand the requirement first here. What is the requirement I'm saying? I want to populate data for DNAME column, but tell me in the table, do we have any DNAME column? In our table, we don't have any DNAME column. And that's the reason I am given the requirement of the DNAME column. What is the requirement I'm telling? DNAME column requirement is if DAD is equal to 10. If DAD is equal to 10, then what value I want to populate here? I want to populate the output value as a XX in which column? In the DNAME column. And if DAD is equal to 20, then what is the value you want to get? YY. And if DAD is equal to 30, then what's the value I want to populate? ZZ. Okay, now you tell me, as per this requirement, what is the data we need to populate here? First one, X. Okay, second one, third one, YY. Fourth one also YY. And fifth one is ZZ. This is the way I need to populate the requirement as per the my requirement. And now you try to give the answer how we can able to get this output from this table by using this requirement. Or if you have any question on the requirement side, please ask me first. Requirement is clear? Clear, right? Okay. Now tell me how we need to frame the query to achieve this requirement. Don't give the answer by using the case statement or by using other things. But so far we have discussed about the case statement. Don't give the answer by using the case statement.
We can use union.
How to apply the union? Someone is saying we can apply the union. Online people, how we can apply the union in this example?
So by using different when when conditions.
Yeah, tell me the when statement. Why we need to
Okay,
go for
okay.
when?
Oh, yeah, yeah. There is no.
I don't want to use the when because so far we haven't discussed anything about the when statement. Apply the analytical skills. See, when I'm talking about the analytical skills, might be you will feel it's a kind of a joke only, but as part of writing the SQL queries, analytical skills only will play very, very important role. That's the reason only I'm trying to give this kind of examples. By seeing these multiple examples, what will happen? You can get some kind of analytical skills.
Yes, sir. By when like where only we can do. When
tell me the
like,
query.
select.
See, if you observe here, what I'm telling, if department ID is equal to 10, then what's the value we need to populate for DNAME column? XX, which is nothing but we need to divide all these 5 records into different categories. And what is the first category? DAD is equal to 10. Will you agree or not? For DAD 10, one category. For that category, what's the value you want to populate? XX. One more category is a DAD is equal to 20. And for this category, what's the value you need to populate? YY. Third category, DAD is equal to 30. For this category, what's the value we need to populate? ZZ, which is nothing but as per the requirement, this whole data we need to divide into how many categories? 3 categories. We'll go one by one. First category, I want to get value as a 1 and 2. Now, wherever department ID 10, what's the value we need to get? XX and XX. Okay. First, tell me to get only these 2 records into the output. What is the query we need to frame? Select. For EAD column, do we have any requirement? No, directly we can give it as a EAD column, comma. Coming to DNAME column, do we have DNAME column in the table? No. That's the reason. Here I'm given the hard code value within the single code as DNAME from which table? Employee table. But tell me if I'm going to run this query up to here, how many records you are going to get?
All the records.
You will get all the 5 records because if you see the above example, and if I'm given the from employee table, what's happening here? It is giving all the records, but you want to apply the access for how many records? Only 2 records. For which records? Where department ID is equal to 10, which is nothing but here simply we are applying the condition as a where department ID is equal to 10. Now tell me up to here, if I'm going to run the query, how many records we are going to get?
2 records.
You are going to get only these 2 records. Out of these 2 records for EAD column we are giving, you are going to get the 1, 2. Come for DNAME, what will happen? It will give value as a XX and XX and D. Now continue the answer.
Union
Union. You.
I'm giving select
Select
EAD comma YY
YY
as department
Hmm.
name. Sorry.
From
From employee table
employee.
where
where
department
DID
ID is
is equal
equal to
20.
20. Now tell me if I'm going to run this second query, what will happen? It will give the only two records, 3,
First,
4, and we are getting the values as a YY. Now what is the third category? Select
EAD
EAD comma
ZZ
in single quote
as DNAME from
DNAME from employee table where DAD is equal to 30. Now with this query, how many records we are going to get?
last.
Only one record. For that one record, we are getting the employee ID value as a 5 and DNAME value, we are getting it as a ZZ. But you want to get the individual outputs or you want to get the combined output?
Combined.
I want to get the combined output. Now in between all these queries, which operator we need to apply?
Union.
We need to apply simply union. And here also apply the union operator. So this is the way simply we can able to frame the query. But tell me, is it the complete query? I want to sort data based on the EAD column. What we have to apply?
Sort by
Order by clause. Where we need to apply the order by clause?
last.
Last.
At the last
Order
of the
by
query.
clause at the end of the SQL statement. Order by
EAD.
column. Okay. This is the way again simply we can able to frame the SQL statement. But tell me, is there any complexity? Only thing is nothing but you need to understand the requirement, apply the analytical skills, and after completion of writing the SQL query, what you are feeling? It's a very simple query because here we are applying the hardcode values, we are applying the where clause, we are applying the union operator, except that we are not using any other kind of things. And so with that, what we can able to say, this is a simple query, but only thing is nothing but you need to understand the requirement, apply the analytical skills. Accordingly, you can able to frame the SQL queries like this as part of our examples. Okay. Any questions still if you're having, please ask me. No questions? Okay, if no questions, I will give one more requirement, try to give the answer. I'm having, for example, null, null, and null. So this is the data we are having in the table. Now requirement is like this. Convert all department ID null values into 100 while populating data into output. So this is the requirement and it. Say get EAD comma department ID, and I'm saying that convert all department ID null values into 100 while populating the data into my output screen. First question, as per the requirement, how many columns we are expecting? We are expecting 2 columns. What are those? EAD column and DAD column. For EAD column, do we have any requirement? We don't have any requirement. I want to get the same output as it is. Now, what about DAD column? What I'm telling? Wherever we are having null values in the DAD column, there I want to populate the values as 100 and which is nothing but I want to get 100 here. Second record is null 100. Third record is null 100. Now I want to get output as 20 and 30 remaining records. Now this is the way I want to get the data. Try to give the answer how we can able to get this output into the output screen.
Yeah. Select.
1 second. Yeah, just 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, please continue. Select EAD, comma
DID.
100.
EAD, comma DID. Next.
No, sir. It will be 100.
Select
EAD, comma 100 as.
1 second. So offline people are giving answer like this. Offline people try to give the answer. EAD, comma 100. Okay. As DID. Okay, perfect. What next? From employee table. Okay, what next? Where DID equal to null. Perfectly wrong answer. What we discussed, if you want to apply the comparison operation on top of the null, we could not able to use the equal to. What do we have to apply? We need to apply is null. Okay, what next? Select EAD, comma DID from employee table where DID
is not
null.
Okay. Now in between both the queries, what we can do?
Union.
Apply the
Union.
That's it. Okay, if anyone not understanding this query, so it's very simple. And what is the requirement? As per the requirement, wherever we are having the null values, I want to convert those values as a 100. If it is not a not null value, so what is the requirement? If it is a null, convert this to 100. If it is the not null, then I want to populate the same value indirectly as part of this requirement. In how many categories we have to divide the data? 2 categories. Based on which column? DAD column. What are those categories? DAD is null. DAD is not null. That's the reason in the first query we are applying the condition as a DAD is null. And when we are applying the DAD is null, what is the requirement? Wherever we are having the null values for the respective department ID, what's the value we need to populate? 100. That's the reason first query we are giving it as a select EAD comma 100 as department ID from employee table where department ID is null. What about the second one? I want to divide the data for the not null value. So we are giving the second query as a DAD is not null. When it is not null, in the DAD column, what data you want to populate? Same data value. Or you want to give the hardcode value? I want to populate the same data. For that reason, in this query, we are giving the same department ID and now where we need to apply the order by clause again?
Last order
by employee ID column. This is the way simply we can able to write the query for the purpose of achieving the requirement. Again, if you observe here in this query, are we using any complex thing? You know is null operator, already you did the practice very well, and you know is not null operator, already you did the practice. You know the union, you know how to give the hardcode value, you know about the order by clause and indirectly within the single query, how many operators we are using? Is null, is not null, union, hardcode, and order by using the 5 different topics, you can able to frame the SQL statement like this. Okay, this is the same way you are going to prepare the queries as part of our real-time projects. But if you are going to work in the real time, what is going to happen? Instead of using the employee table, we are going to use the policy tables or claims tables or customer table. Your table names or column names are going to different and but requirement wise or writing the queries wise, we are going to frame the queries in the same way as part of our real-time projects. Okay, before going further, any questions up to here, please ask me. Any questions? No? Okay. Now just I want to tell you one more thing, Andy. Now actually to achieve this requirement, instead of writing this much of query, here in the database side, we are having one more operator called as a null if. By using the null if with the single line statement, you can able to achieve the requirement. In the same way for this also, instead of writing this much of SQL query, what we can do here is simply we can apply the case when statement. By using the case statement within the single line, we can able to achieve the requirement for this example. And for this example, instead of writing this much of SQL query, what we can do here, simply by using the null if operator, we can able to achieve the requirement. In that tomorrow session, we are going to discuss about the case statement and we are going to discuss about the null if. In the same way, we are having some other operators and we'll discuss about all those topics as part of our tomorrow's session. Okay. So this session is interesting or boring? See, every session will go like this only, and so we'll give the I will try to give the as many examples as possible. Try to understand all the examples. Once you understand the example, automatically what will happen? You can able to frame any kind of SQL queries as part of our interviews or as part of our real-time projects also. It's fine. Okay. Okay, that's all for today, Andy. We'll meet in the tomorrow session. So tomorrow also we're having the 3 classes. Please plan accordingly. Okay. And if anyone want to have the one-on-one discussion with me now, I will be available till 5 p.m. Monday. Please come and meet me. I can able to meet only 5 people. So please come and meet me so we can have the one-on-one and we can discuss about any issues. Okay. Online people, any questions? Just I'm repeating. Tomorrow also we are having the 3 classes. We are having the class at 8:30, 11:45 and 2:30. Please plan accordingly. Okay.
New assignments you will share now, right, sir?
I will share by end of the today or by tomorrow morning.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
That NVL function is not there.
Sorry, come again.
NVL.
So I think NVL and null if are going to work in the same way. I will check and get back on this. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.